Do you believe in truth? I'm sure you do, but have you ever known truth? Who are we to say what is true or not? Will we ever know? In Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, truth is a grinning god who watches from a pleasant void. Truth is the Godhead, the being through which all of creation flows. Every emotion, desire, every large-scale tragedy and benevolent miracle are all contained within the bounds of truth. Edward Elric, as a young boy, thought he could wrap his mind around it. His brother Alphonse trusted he could help him do it. But truth is an elusive thing. It's the carrot on a stick that every human chases when they crack open a Bible or shuffle through life's mundane motions and know they serve a greater purpose. It's a force so powerful that when Ed and Alphonse came face to face with it, they were seen as prodigies. Better that than having their faces melted off like in Raiders of the Lost Ark. They just lost an arm and a leg and an entire body. They endured the truth of creation and still persisted in life and sanity, regardless of the consequences. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is a relatively recent classic. It spoke to something within us. That's why over 70.3 million copies of the manga have been sold worldwide. It's a phenomenon that brought the archaic pre-science of alchemy back into pop culture and combined it with futuristic technology. It showed a world where a demon was let loose by the grinning truth of everything, and life was forced to sharpen its reason for being here. It's bizarre and existential. After watching it, I found myself understanding a little more why evil exists. Great anime and great art in general is powerful because it presents information in a way that lets your subconscious effortlessly tap into it, allowing its lessons to sink into your bones. That's always been what stories are about. And let me tell you, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is a story. But I have another story for you. This is the story of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. The story of truth. The story you never knew. How much is a human life worth? A pound for a pound, they say, but what about the rest of our being? The proverbial soul, unique to every person. What is the true value of that? Zephyr King Bradley would say a human soul is basically worthless, save for the power that can be absorbed from it. But then again, he is Wrath, a homunculus more perfect than a human. He was raised and trained and brainwashed so that he could have his being infused with a philosopher's stone, an object of immense power created from the life force of sacrificed human souls. It allowed him to become a homunculus with inhuman speed and unprecedented swordsmanship that packs an elegant wallop. He is the ascended human, destined to fulfill his father's plan of sacrificing the entire country of Amestris. It's a whole thing orchestrated by Wrath's father, who is also called Father, whose form was derived from the Elric brothers' father. Daddy issues abound, but we'll save that for next time. At Father's core, he is a dwarf in a flask, really just a demon. It's revealed at the end that this megalomaniacal dwarf in a flask was originally released by Truth from a pit of despair, a pit locked away from the rest of creation. He was given the chance to live a life outside of despair. With that chance, the dwarf in a flask tried to murder an entire country to gain power and freedom.
Free! I just wanted to be free!
Yet after Father is defeated for the expected happy ending, he has the audacity to be genuinely shocked that Truth is locking him away.
Why, God? How did I disappoint you?
That's the mind of a demon, all right. Why would Truth release such a thing? To find out, let's go back to one of his sins, Wrath. Wrath is not a nice man. He'll kill you with his cool swords. In his mind, your death would merely be a part of history unfolding as it should. It is his destiny to rule from the throne and harvest the life force of millions. You may have raised an eyebrow hearing that Wrath is the FUHRER, King Bradley. Zephyr, the only places I hear that word are in Hitler memes and in historical references to Hitler. Wrath even has a mustache and looks vaguely like aggressive Adolf. When we talk about truth, we're talking about reality with no bias. Truth is cold and clinical. It doesn't have room for the silly things humans hold close to their hearts like beliefs. In the eye of truth, action is simply action. Evil happens as often as good. Evil will fight its way towards the top. It will look at benevolence with the same hatred that benevolence looks at it. It's a frustrating part of life that those with bad intentions fight with sometimes more vigor than those who simply want peace. Wrath commands and slashes with a divine lust, and truth keeps on smiling. How badly do you want kindness to win? To make that happen, you'll need to slash back, make an equivalent exchange. An orphaned woman is face to face for the second time with the man who murdered her parents. This cold-blooded killer dispatched her parents based on race, their blonde hair and blue eyes igniting a panic in him despite their altruistic intentions to heal his people. A man is face to face with a woman he orphaned. Her parents were doctors from a country which completely decimated his own in cold blood. The country of Amestris destroyed his family home and his fellow red-eyed Ishvalan. The sight of two Amestrian doctors awakened that painful reality within Scar. Understanding Winry's loss, Scar gives her the opportunity to pass judgment on him. Understanding Scar's loss, she bandages his wounds. It's moments like these where Fullmetal Alchemist really shines. We may be watching a shonen anime, however, rather than big explosions made by young men with lots of hair being the defining features, it's mortal enemies understanding each other. That being said, the hair and energy explosions in this show are pretty great. Anyway, in any conflict, both sides suffer. Good and bad is a point of view, so neither can be wholly true. Brotherhood's themes cut deeply into our world. When we first meet Scar, repentance is not something we would have expected from him, but as the story progresses, he connects with the nation that scorched his people. He begins to see those he perceived as evil murderers as just people. Despite being a shifty dude early on, he's slowly revealed to not be evil. It's fitting that in the end, Scar and Wrath battle it out. Finally, Scar has his chance to kill the man who almost flung him into an endless void of bitterness. Their fight is symbolic of the opposing forces they represent. Wrath, as a placeholder for Hitler, is the purest evil. Being a homunculus, he is disgusted by humans. He doesn't hesitate to fight for the end of 50 million lives if it will grant Father the highest power. Scar is torn up that he ended 2 lives. Of course, Scar is fully human, so he speaks to us more than this uber villain with an eye patch and a power trip. Wrath is the cruelty by which humans sharpen their benevolent nature against. At least, that's the roadmap for human nature that Fullmetal has drawn out. Towards the end, the FUHRER King Bradley even says one reason he can't stand humans is because he can't always predict what they will do next. Humans strive to be better and learn from mistakes as part of an idealistic nature that makes them build towards a more perfect world. That's how we fight evil. A heavily optimistic perspective, but I dig it. Perhaps the truth here is that good and evil cannot exist without each other. The law of equivalent exchange. To obtain something, you must give up something of equal value. What would you sacrifice to save all of creation from a demon in a flask? For Wrath to enact his destiny from atop the world, he fought to sacrifice millions of human lives. For Scar to find peace, he had to give up his chronic gnawing rage. For Ed to bring his brother back, it was a literal arm and a leg, not to mention his innocence. Some sacrifices are obviously worth it in the long run, even if the death of certain parts of yourself are painful. Other sacrifices are just coldly possible. Then there's sacrifices perceived as selfless. However, an action made by the self cannot be selfless, because we often gain something from action. Help someone out, and they'll probably help you too. An alchemical principle is in fact an undeniable foundation of reality, but there's an element to that exchange that goes deeper than a mere transaction between two things of equal value. Al helps this chimera dude, and later that same dude proves to be incredibly valuable soon after. Al also gives 2 other chimeras a pep talk. They wanted to sit there and die because now they're monstrosities. They can't have families with these bodies, right? Al knows a thing or two about having a nonconformist body and gives these fellas a morale boost that only an idealist who is also a suit of armor can give. From then on, Al risks his safety for them, and they do the same for him and his brother. Throughout the show, everybody who could have been left to wither or die gets hoisted back up, and they return the favor. You could call it equivalent exchange. In a way, that's exactly what it is, but it's not a conscious exchange like the ones you need to draw transmutation circles for. It's an authentic connection between two individuals that is beautiful and perhaps even rare. You give and they give because it's what feels right. It is not part of a bigger plan where the person you aided will save your butt later. It's love. In the final episode, Ed awkwardly proposes to Winry by citing the law of equivalent exchange because he's a dork. He says he'll give her half of his life if she gives him half of hers. She says yes in the way the love of Ed's life would.
The whole equivalent exchange thing is just nonsense. How about I just give you my whole life?
Spittin' truth. And I'm not just talking about the grinning god in the neutral void. Equivalent exchange, like most truths of the universe, is both true and false, because truth cannot exist without lies. It is invaluable knowledge that is full of contradictions. All is one. One is all. Evil is a part of truth because good is a part of truth. It's all a little confusing, but that's the truth. Sitting there with a shit-eating grin and telling you that you've got to give up something to get something. Edward, unsurprisingly, understands this. He expresses this in the end by sacrificing his alchemical abilities in exchange for Al's body. He just loves his brother, so screw it. He gets what he wants and basically lives happily ever after. But as for the dwarf in the flask who spawned Hitler and then became divine demon god Hitler by the power of stolen tormented souls, he was sent back to despair. However, why would truth let a demon out in the first place? What did it hope to accomplish? Well, if a realm of despair exists, as shown in Brotherhood, that makes it a part of truth. Makes sense, we've all known despair. For truth to remain true, it must express itself. Change can come gradually, but we've also seen great change happen quickly. Mass extinctions, climate change, but the fastest sociological changes come from war. The greatest war was World War II, an event Brotherhood alludes to consistently. It was a time of great evil which bred great good. Equivalent exchange. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. To obtain something, something of equal value must be lost. Letting loose a demon was truth simply being true. Evil happens or it doesn't. But when it does, good rises in return. If you believe yourself to be kind and good, how much did you really stand up against that which you viewed as evil? Did you make the greatest change to yourself in the world that you could? That would make you good. Your contrast to evil. That's how the fastest progress has been made, and it always will be. Truth exists to show you what you're really capable of, and who you really are. In the moments when you aren't thinking and are simply acting is when truth comes out. That's when Al saved people he barely knew. That's when Winry healed Scar. That's when Ed gave up his alchemy in the end. Are you a hero or a monster? A coward or a fighter? You'll reveal that without thinking about it. You can't avoid truth. That's the story of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. The story you never knew. This has been my take on Fullmetal Alchemist. I am Grant. Thank you so much for watching. You're lovely, you're beautiful, and now it is time for shout out for the lovely patron of the week, School Bus. School Bus, thank you so much. You are supporting us and making it possible for us to cover anime for a living. It's kind of magical and weird and beautiful, and you are a part of it. And also, you watching right now are also a part of it. And if you want to go a little bit deeper, link is down below. It's only $1 a month to join our Discord, and we talk about anime. You can hang out with us. It's a good time. Mike next week is going to be covering more shonen. Yeah. Stay tuned for that. That is all I have for today. Keep being you, dog.